Very much. Okay, privilege of the floor. I believe we have young Miss Abby Maroney to speak to these.
That would be me.
Hello. Hello, my name is Skylar Pacheco, and thank you for taking the time to listen to us.
My name is Abby Maroney, and we are from Girl Scout Troops 449 and 155.
We would like to propose a fundraiser for the library.
We hope to organize a silent auction during which we would be selling melted crayon art. We're collecting crayons right now from the from restaurants throughout Goshen and different like schools if they have broken crayons that they're not using anymore. We would like to display the works of art in the library after we completed them, which would be throughout May and June. We would like to give the money to the library. We're not sure if it would go to the Friends of the Library or the library, so that's something we were curious about.
Yeah, I don't know either.
They can make a donation directly to
Yeah,
us.
I think you can. You can make a donation directly to the library. You don't have to
We
go through the friends.
we have two questions. The first being if we could sell candles at the front desk, and the second being if we could reference the fundraiser any
In any press release we might have.
Answer?
Yeah, well, we can't have the front desk selling the candles, but you can set up a table here if you want to do that.
Yeah, I was thinking there's a way around. It might get a little clumsy if we had them at the front desk that way, but we could definitely name dates and you could show up here. We could set you up and sell them on
And
those
let people
dates.
know you're going to be here those days. that
First, let
way
me
you can-
thank you for thinking of us, by the way.
Yeah, that's really nice.
It's great. But we can work those details out. But certainly you can name us and you can put dates in any press release you have, and then we'll just have to work at the details about selling. The problem we have is one is room upstairs, and the other is I'm just not sure how the library deals. We do it with the Friends sometimes, and even that might be a little strange. But I think with an outside entity such as your own, I'm not sure we're allowed to do that by law. But I think we can set up a space for you to do it at certain given days or certain times, if that would work.
Yeah.
And so would that also be a problem for displaying the art?
I think
no?
if it's displayed not to be purchased somehow, just say, on this date you'd be able to buy some of these items, we could do that. We could
Yeah,
find something for
that
you to put
works.
them out. But it's just a
Okay.
matter of us actually sort of
Yeah,
selling merchandise over the desk might get a little tricky.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
you're having kids put the artwork together to create the art. It's not for
Yes.
sale, right? Or is it?
It will be.
It will be for sale
be for sale,
to
but-
benefit the
Yeah,
library.
we're
Okay.
collecting the crayons and then making the art out of them.
It's a great idea,
It
too.
is very
Yeah.
nice.
Sounds cool.
Recycling and everything.
They should have an art auction.
Right, well, I think that's
Same
what they were
canvas,
saying.
Yeah, they could have people come and bid and.
So no, a silent auction and a sale, you want to do two things, is that what it is?
Two sort of separate things. There would be
Okay.
crayons made out of candles made out of crayons.
Okay,
And that would be just for general sale, and then
Okay.
the silent auction would be for the actual art, the crayons on the paper.
okay, so you want to put the artwork around the library and then have a silent auction with that sometime in May or June?
Yeah.
And then also make these candles and sell them on specific dates at the library?
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
How many items of art would you have on display in the librare? Just thinking of space.
Yeah, I was going to say I have to talk to Bernie about this. He's the head of our building committee. We'll find some place. We'll have to find some- take out the-
These are certainly objective.
I was just gonna say, maybe that's a conflict of interest. Oh, we have plenty of room down here we can hang up, right? And, yeah, because we have other people's art upstairs, and
Is-
we've had over years other people's
Yeah.
some upstairs. I don't
It's-
see any reason why we couldn't do it.
Some of
I
it's
just
candles
don't
and some of it's flat art?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Mr. Tarvin had asked how many art pieces might be hanging.
Well, it depends on the amount of crayons that we get. Like, if we get many crayons from people, like, walking out of restaurants, putting their broken crayons in there, or just in general, if they're not actually going to use them at home. Or if the restaurants themselves put the crayons that they don't use, remember to put them in the box rather than in the trash. Like, it depends on how much we get.
And it also takes a lot to make just one
Yeah.
thing, so.
Time.
Sure.
So it won't be wallpapered, in other words.
Right.
No, we can, I'm
Right.
sure we'll be able to.
We
Yeah,
would
she-
help, I'm sorry to interrupt, so they have, we have 7 girls in the 2 troops. So assuming we would have at least one piece per girl, that would be 7 pieces.
Okay.
I know some of them are more artsy than the others, so we might have more than that.
I think the thing to do is figure out how much room we have first, and then let you know
Okay.
how much room we can, because some pieces might be bigger than others. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a detail I think we can work out at the time.
Okay.
I might have a whole bunch of crayons that have been sitting in my house for years if you would like them.
Yes, that'd be great.
I could
Thank
find
you.
them. I think they might be in the attic.
Yep, I just
You
told
bet.
Karen to come see it at school. I have a whole bunch at school that I never use.
That'll most likely be on a Friday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much,
Thank you.
girls.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Deb,
C.
You'll print that.
Last name.
But you're gonna have to load the paper.
R.
Oh, one of the other additions, because some of you might know the other girls in the troupe. We have Sarah Schomburg, Lydia DeFusco, and Riley Miller. I already said. Oh, you said Sarah. Sorry, and Shanora Khan. So since there are few enough girls to name, I thought some of you might know their parents. So it's a nice thing that we can do together. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
One minute, cheers.
So, the minutes from the last meeting, I have a motion to approve the minutes, or are there any changes you wish to make before we do that? Just your hands up at that.
No wonder.
There you go. That was included for whatever reason. What's that?
It's
It's
my
Matt's
fault.
fault. It's all Matt's fault. When in doubt, it's Matt's
That
fault.
these were made.
Need a motion?
Yes, I was gonna ask if anyone had any changes to make to the minutes, no? Norma makes a motion to accept the minutes as written. Any, can I have a second? Nancy, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Everybody's for it and Ryan's not here. Thank you very much. Yeah. Treasurer's report.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Jack.
How's everyone? Awfully dark early tonight, that's for sure. We have the report here for November 30th, month 5 of the fiscal year. We're heading right on track. We got our 40% tax check. The second one, the first was 50 on November 30th, so that was $469,921.60. So now, as you can see, the balance sheet, we're loaded up on cash. 874, right, thousand.
We like that.
You like that? And our last 10% comes in March, so we got a way to go, but we got plenty in the meantime. And our budget is, we're running right on budget. Salaries year-to-date are $2,034 under budget, so for 5 months into the year, to still be under by a couple grand, we're doing pretty well there. The library charges were a lot better in the month of November. They picked up a little bit. I caught up on a lot of the books through October. We're running slightly over budget on the adult book line, but I think that's been pretty much foreseen, and we've taken, right, we've evened it out. We've taken what we hope will be corrective action, so they'll slow down in their ordering, and they know they're ahead of where they should be at this point. I don't think anything else really stood out. It's pretty much been a ho-hum month. Everything else is more or less. The overall spending year-to-date with 5 months in is, a pretty good sample. 470, almost 5,000 expense, 489 budgeted, so we're running 14,000 below. And then when the books are fully brought up to date, more or less we're running pretty much right on, or maybe a tick below budget year-to-date. And again, as I say, we have plenty of cash now for a while. And as of December 3rd, we made the December loan payment. The balance is now $203,386.50.
Means next month we break 200.
Next month we break 200, absolutely.
That's
So
awesome. Great, thank you.
great, thank
I'm
you.
sorry, can you say that amount again, please?
Sure, 203,386.50.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, may I have a motion to accept the treasurer's, I'm sorry, are there any questions for Jack?
Just, no, before, I'm sorry, my voice hasn't been with me today. Where we used to get the reporting on the checks that have been written.
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
something that we're discontinuing, or?
I thought
did
that
we
was only
decide that?
supposed to be for a couple of months. I didn't know that was supposed to be.
Yeah, we tried that out for a couple of months, and I
thought
think
we
we
had
just,
decided that we would, like every 3 months or something.
yeah,
like that,
every
we would
couple,
do it.
right, we
Okay.
weren't gonna do it every month.
So it's not due till
Right. Yeah,
Next month
January,
sound good, or
February.
January, or?
Every
January.
quarter,
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
Every
but I
quarter?
think that's what, I think you're right,
Yeah.
it's every quarter, because the monthly became too much.
Say the first month of every quarter, maybe again in January? or-
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah,
good,
Okay,
thank you.
thank
okay,
you.
great.
I had a question. We're getting like 0.03 interest.
Yeah, we're gonna look around. The money's only been in there for about a week, so I'm gonna call Orange County and find out if we can do better there. But we deposited in the key checking account for now, but I'll find out about the rates. But last time we checked the rates, even with that kind of money, the rate was pretty horrible.
Well, I know the Hudson Heritage Federal Credit Union pays 1% on above $25,000, I think. I don't know if we're allowed to use a credit union, I don't know what the rules are, but,
We approve our bank at the beginning of the
right, we have
calendar year,
we have to add them to the list if they,
Yeah,
if it's
if we can,
legitimate, yeah.
yeah.
Hudson Heritage, okay.
Yeah.
yeah. I can't see a reason why we couldn't add a bank. There's no prohibition that I'm aware of.
I don't know
But
either.
what is the difference, what is, 1% of 800,000
8,000.
It's
is
8,000.
8,000, so.
Right.
We're talking about,
That's a mortgage payment.
we're not gonna get 8,000 because it's gonna
De-
reduce and
depleted,
so on,
right.
but it might end up saving us $3,000 or $4,000, which we certainly can use.
Yes,
Right.
we can.
We'll inquire.
Mhm.
We'll find out this week. Because the check was, given to us at the end of November, so it's really only been like a little over a week. We'll inquire about that. See if we can do better than we're,
And if you
we're
needed, if you can get 1% somewhere, even, whatever bank it would be, if you needed to call a special meeting just to have us add it to the list,
That's what I was just about to
you
ask.
could just bring in,
Okay.
put out a call, 5 days later, if you get a quorum, we can do it, and then get the extra money.
Okay, great. Sounds good.
Sooner the better, if that's the case.
Yeah, right. Any other questions for Jack? You have a motion to accept the treasurer's report? We're all off tonight, holy cow. Let's try that again. Oh, let's do Bernie and Norma. All in favor? There we go. Okay, everybody's in. No, and Ryan's not here. Thank you very much, Jack.
Thank you.
Okay. Committee reports. Yes, thank you very much for the flowers. They will be.
Oh,
And it's tradition for us to chip in $50 toward the staff Christmas party, the staff Christmas meeting. That's this Friday, correct?
We should be having a staff meeting this Friday.
Right, and the library board sunshine committee usually chips in $50 toward that party. Everybody okay with it?
Or
Do you have enough
cookies.
in the, or we do both. Last year I showed up with cookies and donuts. I think it ended up with bagels and all kinds of fun
So
stuff.
the meeting, and then did you guys get the email about the thing at Elsie's?
I was gonna bring that up in my.
Oh,
Okay,
no, I didn't
all
get that.
You can.
But I
let them
just-
know.
Well, they-
You're invited to the the Sunday holiday party this Sunday coming up
Oh, this Sunday,
at
okay.
LC's at. I just forgot 3. I'll have to check the time. I'll email you tonight again. Reminder.
Nothing.
I think it's 3:30 to 6.
Really?
Hmm.
Just they what, they usually close it?
They
to-
close.
I sent, I
Yeah,
think
they
I,
stay open like
3:30 to 5.
Did you get the email?
yeah, I sent it to everybody's Goshen email
Five to
accounts.
7? Oh,
Because
I'm thinking of the road.
it was too much
That's
trouble
closed
sending it.
here.
Okay, 5 to 7. I'll,
So, sorry about
I'll
that.
send something out.
Thank
Did you
you.
send it to our home email address?
Yeah, because I never,
Yeah,
I don't even
What'd
know
you
how
say?
to
You
get
sent it
on.
to
I sent it to the other one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no idea how to get on to the.
yeah, I'm not.
You send it to our home
Just
email
send it to
address.
home, yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
That's what I checked.
Does everybody get mine? Mine
Yeah, I was
yes.
just going to say.
If you send it to the home.
As long as you send it to my home email.
I think you should disable the Gmail.
Yeah, because
I
nobody.
just
Yeah,
checked my
it's
home
still
email.
voting, though.
Yeah.
You could,
Yeah.
because
Oh,
still, for
he
the,
has
in
to
the
do it?
interest of, yeah.
Can you? Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do that.
My question was, does the Sunshine Committee have enough money to cover a $50 donation toward the staff Christmas party?
Who said
I
you know?
think it does. I have to go home and look at the
And check.
drawer.
Okay.
I don't carry it with me.
All right, well, well, okay.
Carrying something.
You're not on top of this, Jim? All right, so if you need anything, I guess you just hit us up next
Okay.
month. Is there any other committee reports?
Well,
Yes, dear.
last meeting, it's in the minutes about, I volunteered to check with the village
Yes.
on 2 items. As far as the type of pipe that is on our property, no one knows what type of pipe it is down there.
Do they laugh first?
May have rolled their eyes a little bit. The other question we had was regarding Salesi and whether they have the insurance to cover if anybody gets hurt on the property, if there's any issues there. We did find the agreement between the joint rec and the library, which is, this is a copy. And it says the municipality, and that's the town and the village, will maintain liability insurance. So that is covered.
Okay.
And it's not much to it, but it does say the temporary easement shall be maintained in its present condition by the municipality at its sole cost and expense. And that is the only recompense for that agreement. It says that the parties agree the maintenance of the temporary easement by the municipality is sufficient consideration for the temporary easement given. It just means we're not liable for, there's no other part of this agreement than that.
Okay.
So yeah, we're covered. Yeah, right, I know.
And they mow the lawn or something
And
like that,
then,
right? That's on
yeah,
there
they
too?
mow the lawn in
Yeah.
exchange for something else.
Yeah,
That's a
it doesn't say
separate
that.
thing.
It doesn't say that.
That's a
It doesn't
separate.
matter.
That's
That's
kind of
a
a.
separate-
they threw that
Different
in.
agreement, okay.
Yeah, that's a different, kind of like,
Different understanding.
handshake kind of
Yeah.
deal.
Okay.
Thanks for checking with it.
Thank you very much.
I'll file this away for the next time we have a question.
Do you have a copy of that?
I do.
You do.
Did they have any suggestions as to the,
The pipe and,
the backflow and any of that
No.
stuff that we,
no, I didn't talk to any
Oh,
engineer
okay.
per se, but,
no, but to, who's the village person?
well, Mike Nuzzle,
Yes,
yeah,
he had
there's-
no suggestions for us?
No. I mean, it's, I don't think we would go on anybody's suspicion, so.
Yeah.
I think, if we're gonna do it, we'd have to have somebody look at it
Right.
to make sure.
And at that point, figure on replacing it. It'd be, because you can dig up the whole thing, or even spots of it. Consider putting in a new pipe at that point, so if it's going to be all dug up. So,
Maybe.
yeah. But we can talk
We
about
might
that
be
some other
surprised
time.
with what we found.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, yeah,
Maybe
it would just
somebody
be a
else already
savings.
had
Yeah.
this idea 30
Yeah.
years ago and just forgot to let everybody know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Anyway, thank you very much, Keith.
Sure.
Any other committee information we need to know? Okay, director's report, Matt. You're up.
Well, the winter newsletter was completed and take a look at it. It's not gonna be in 2 pieces, but as I say, it's sort of a holiday theme. We never really have pictures of the staff, but this year we did something like that. And some of the main points of interest, Jim's, the last 2 will be in circulation shortly. We now have Mango, that's that language learning. There's a nice letter from Norma mentioning the cupola of the Catherine J. Kent money that will be used toward fixing the cupola up. So you can take a look at it if you want to pass it around. This should be in your mailbox shortly, but you get to look at the. Let's see here. What else? Building concerns. Front lamp is just, had a faulty photocell which was fixed. The bulletin board was put up to assuage some hurt feelings about the amount of wall space dedicated to PR. Danny did a bunch of work with putting some of the wires underneath those covers down here. It makes it look a lot neater. The basement door exploded in someone's hands and was put back together. He was a locksmith, Danny, at some point, like, way back when. He took a what do you call that? A correspondence course. So he has all these tools and stuff left over from that. And he learned how to do this when he was first married to make money. So he once in a while comes in handy. I believe that the catalog problems that we were having for a while, they've cleared up. That was an RCLS problem, but that's been okay. Good. Okay. The Friends generously donated $2,000 towards the summer reading and some nice books from Michelle. These what are they called? Electronically enhanced books. They basically allow they kind of interface between the internet and the book itself, and it updates the book, and it's kind of a nice thing. It lets the kids, actually use a book, but it sort of bridges itself to the internet and does some things that books can't do, like spontaneously update itself and things like that. So they're pretty cool. They circulate well, and they bought a set for the children's room last year. And they've also renewed our Guggenheim and our Intrepid. Did I mention Intrepid?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Museum passes.
Thank you.
So, thank you, friends. I think you had about 50 people at your second screening of the last two, Glen Arden. And as I mentioned, that we'll have a couple archival copies, and it'll also be available for circulation. Let's see. Oh, I did some research about. We had the question arose about who covers the Friends in terms of liability insurance when they're off-site. And instead of going directly to my insurance broker, I went first to the directors, and I'm not sure why, but I just wanted to get it. Sometimes you go to the insurance people, and it's a little, I don't know, it takes a while. I just want to get a sense of what other libraries, if they've faced this, or if this question had been raised with their insurance companies, or how they dealt with it. And then after that, I went back to our insurance company, and of course, so far I've gotten 2 answers. So a lot of the libraries out there have it in their policy that and I believe we do also. I went through it, I couldn't find it, but our broker Beverly said she believes that they're covered as secondary. I forget the term she used, but it was secondarily covered something. But she was supposed to get back to me today. Actually, she was supposed to get back to me on Friday. I called her today. She said she'd get back to me. She hasn't yet, so I'll try again tomorrow. I believe that they're covered under our liability insurance, and we'll have to get a rider for them the same way we do when we have something at Cornerstone or anywhere else that's off-site, and then they'll reimburse us the cost of the rider, which is something like $25 usually, which would be a lot easier for the Friends than having to go out and get their own policy. But I'll report back to them when I find out. The Falling Moon, I talked to Ken. He said they said it started out slow. The first day was slow. We had 2 weekends of this basically aimed at, I think, 7th grade, 8th grade or something. But over the run, it picked up a lot of people. By the end, he said he had about 95 altogether that had come to see it. And he's got some good. He said that the principal of the school contacted him. They want maybe Cornerstone to do some productions for the school. So good for all parties involved.
Nice.
And I mentioned the Rotary. They sent me to a leadership academy, they called it. It was very interesting. And it was more interesting than I had actually thought it would be when I was up at 6 o'clock in the morning getting ready to go. But the people, I mean, and I really mean this honestly, I was just humbled by them. They just, one after the next, from all walks of life, all ethnicities, just describing this roster of things they've done around the world for people. Just like, I walked out of it feeling like, oh, what a schlep I am, or whatever. I wasn't doing it for anybody,
Yeah.
I mean, it was really amazing. It was really moving. So it was definitely well worth going. It was inspiring, encouraging, I should say, to see people like that. I think I mentioned that they invited me to be on their board, whereupon I said I don't know how much I'll have to offer, but I'm flattered that you'd ask me. So we'll see how that. They're all good people. It should be interesting. I've never been on a board. I've only been on this side, so it should be cool.
This is the tough side.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll appreciate us.
Goes more.
There you go. Michelle wanted me to mention that she's doing this winter book adventure. Actually, she was on the treadmill talking to me from home just before the meeting. I don't know if I totally understand it, but every week they do like a different theme. And some of it has to do with outside agencies coming in. Like they have the Humane Society coming in with something about, so they'll talk about the books about animals, and then they'll bring the Humane Society in. And then it's National Cocoa Day or something, and they're going to have cocoa and do, so it's cool. It's kind of this theme thing that goes over, it sounded to me, the space of at least a month. It's like, every week they're doing a different thing. But they've always got stuff going on down here. Is it in here? It's not too. It's just too. And I believe, I thought I had some other things. Oh, Anna's looking into a grant, which we barely qualify for, but still looking for some funding for a more thorough digitization project to take stuff that we have in our collection and have it digitized and put up on the web, with the proper metadata, and so people can search it and all that kind of stuff, which it seems easy because everyone says, "I'll just scan it, throw it up there," but I guess you really have to have a certain kind of software. You have to be able to make it manageable and be able to find it again once it's there, so you just don't have this pile of stuff that's sitting on there's a way to search it. It's like an index to it and all this. So I don't know whether, it's, we received the notification about this upcoming grant about a week ago from Cornelia Bush, the county historian. And as I say, we have to sort of squeak by because it sounds like we barely meet the criteria of what they're looking for. It has to do with, an actual museums for the most part, but we do have some realia, some actual objects that we display, and you have to have things on display for a certain amount of time that have to do with local history. So we might, as I say, we're not a museum per se, but we have enough of that kind of thing. If we had the room, we used to have this whole downstairs was a museum basically. We have the space, right now we're a little short on space as
No display.
right. So we'll see, but she's looking into it anyway. I mean, it's an annual thing, so if you don't get it this year, we can always revisit it. And I'm sure there's always other things, and I think I'm going to say, and I forget, but I think that about. So we have a lot of stuff to talk about in the executive session.
Well, Michelle suggested that we get an e-reader of each, well, should be mainstream kind.
Is that Michelle's?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Okay. Yeah, we've talked about this, and we'd have to, Bernie as well, getting e-readers just for people to learn on it, to practice on, but not actually circulate them. I've read that the libraries that have been circulating them have had a horrible time.
Yeah.
Both in, I guess, some of the security issues, because some of them, people fiddling around where they shouldn't be inside, with the thing, and also just damaging them and coming back with it.
You mean circulating outside of the library?
Right,
Oh,
inside
okay,
definitely.
but-
Inside, makes
Yeah,
sense.
Sure, it
Especially
makes
'cause-
sense for you guys
Right,
too to learn
to
about
learn,
each.
yeah.
Right, so
for
if someone
classes.
comes in, you could actually help them,
Yeah.
if you're familiar with the machine itself. Yeah.
So is it something we can do?
I think
or
so. I mean, we
have
bumped-
funds?
yeah.
Well, that sounds
Not a
like the
great
kind of
deal.
thing we would take out of the book budget.
Yeah, we bumped up the book
Yeah.
budget for the upcoming year.
Sure.
Okay.
Not quite as much as prior, because we ended up putting some of that money back into
Dropped it
children's,
down and
but we
brought it
still
back
have
a
more than we
little
had
bit.
last
Yeah.
year, so
Okay.
I think we can definitely do, I think it's a good idea. I think
Yeah,
it's
that's a
worth
good
it.
idea.
So that's something to look forward to. I don't know anything about any of those devices sadly, but I guess I could learn. I kind of.
So would you ever get one yourself?
I would never know.
You wouldn't, huh?
And it's not because I don't like technology. It's funny. It's because I'm very funny with books. Because I've been a book lover since I was. My first memory, and this is God's own truth, is dumping out a what do you call it? A pillowcase of books on a babysitter's floor. That is my first memory. Is I just so I've always been around books, and even when I collected books more voraciously than I do now, I had a funny thing. About the physical thing, the actual object, and it wasn't like like some people almost fetishize the book. It wasn't like that because I really wanted the information. But I love the actual the cover. I remember that bag I brought into you of all of those paperbacks. I was really interested in the art of the book itself.
Right.
And so when I hold these things, it's like when I try to read poetry online. Somehow it's like the ghost of it's not, and it's the same words, but it doesn't have it. I don't know what that is. I'm sure it's a bias, and when I'm dead and gone, people won't even think of And they'll just be so used to it, it will just be like books to them. But it's a funny thing. I kind of shudder to think about reading on one of those when I see people. It's fascinating, but I just...
You're not alone. You are not alone. I see that.
Luddite.
You're not alone. We will prevail. I see that Michelle's numbers are up quite a bit, I think. Again, are we keeping this documented?
Yes.
So that when it's time to go to the public with whatever
We
we're
should
going to the public with?
Actually buy a camera for the library. We use our cell phones and stuff, but something that would take a little nicer, because some of that's hard because you got to say, do you mind if your kids do all these release forms?
No,
and
but
stuff,
just keeping
we've
tabs of the
definitely keeping
numbers.
tabs, yes.
Okay.
That's all saved for the annual report.
Mhm.
And I'll also say, I don't know exactly how it happened, but we've had, I think I mentioned last time, a tremendous rise in Hispanic, Spanish people. It's amazing, really. I don't know, somehow the word got out, somebody trusted to say, this is a good place to come, and it's been amazing. In fact, Michelle wanted Mango partly because she wanted to be able to use it just to learn just the rudiments so that she doesn't feel so at a loss, we do have a woman that works down here that's bilingual, which is helpful, but she's only here, part-time. But yeah, I don't know. How about, I didn't check, how about Eleanor's numbers? I hope they reflect my bulletin board. No, that
I don't
just.
think she gave numbers.
Yeah,
No,
she
she
said
didn't
she'd
give
have them
numbers.
That's right, she's out
Next
sick
time.
until next week.
Yeah.
Is that what,
That's gonna be fun.
she had a knee problem.
Oh, yeah.
So 2 of our people are out with the same thing.
Do we need to
Well,
send
there are some
something?
numbers
Need to send something?
in her report. The video game night, when she talks about only 2 attended the under 12 program. I wonder what an under 12 program would be part of adult services, wouldn't that be?
Yeah, that's kind of like a middle ground. They're fighting about that a little bit, who's controlling it. It's just that Casey, our new reference librarian, is really savvy about the games, more so probably than the people down here. So he's sort of not horned in, but he's sort of taken doing this dual level gaming program.
Right.
He kind of oversees both of those.
And then the film program, now that, I know I guess we talked about this before, but there were only 3 people that came to see the movie. I'm just wondering, why we do that. Because
Yeah. Has it been that low this for a while? It seems to wax and wane, but it never really gets a crowd, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the weather too, getting colder?
I think part of it is that it's difficult for the people that want to come to that kind of thing to actually,
Get down here.
So, we thought about having to move it upstairs and maybe, but it's, what that local history room is like, we'd have to take the table. I don't know what we do to get enough room to have a, seating.
It mentions also the discards in the, how difficult it is to do discarding in the mystery section, but is it just the issue of space in that corner that they must do discards? Because, if you read mysteries, usually what happens is you suddenly discover another author you like, and then you go through 15 or 20 books by that author. So if you're discarding part of a collection, it's something that's going to get read.
Right.
Well, I think that's what she's trying to avoid. That's
So
what I got
it's
from that.
also the nature of the piece. You get to the denouement. You're not going to read that book again,
No.
right? You already know who
Right,
done it.
right.
So
I'll have to ask her about that.
I guess I'm
Well, it's a
asking
popular-
why struggle with it? Just don't since that's such an active collection.
Then maybe it just
Don't-
needs a bigger
you
space than it
Make a bigger
has.
space if you can, or just don't discard mysteries.
Mhm.
It's one of the things that's
It's definitely one of the highest.
What's going on?
I'd say. There's another thing that sticks in my craw. When I got into libraries, I was all about the educational side of it, and now I've gotten used to it. And so, but it's hard for you have to give the people what they're asking for. Of course, my mentality was always I wanted to give them what's out there that they don't know that's there, but it doesn't really work like that. You gotta, and that's probably why I should ended up in a college library, but too late now. No. I'm just saying, I'm happy I'm here.
You're in good now.
No, but yeah, no, I'll talk to her. It's an ever-present problem up there, though. It's just like there's they're always just crammed. It's like you don't want. What ends up happening is you go through the collection and you see the stuff that doesn't go out, and it's classics, but you can't get rid of the classics. You know what I mean? We're here for that. That's part of our mission. And then you're going to say, wait a minute, I'm going to throw out. Here comes Nevada Bars next. Whatever, and I got to get rid of Tolstoy? Forget it, So you're always in this struggle, but on the one hand, Tolstoy's not going out. Nevada Bar's going out. That's her name, right? Nevada Bar.
I have no idea.
So you have this, for a while we had, where Michelle's children's section is, we had overflow. We had like a lot of stuff that kind of would go out cyclically, so it would be all like the kind of stuff that doesn't go out a lot but you can't get rid of would be down there. So you'd have multiple copies of the Odyssey and the classics. And that would make, well, you see the size of the shelves. And that would make 4, maybe 3 stacks more upstairs for the popular collection to expand into. But when we put that stuff upstairs and this down here, we kind of lost that. we utilize some of the stuff on the balcony like that now, but that's also become secondary storage. So it's just a matter of just revisioning the space, I guess, again, and seeing where we might pick up some. I think Casey has been attempting to do the same thing we used to do in this room upstairs by moving some of the classics, the duplicates, where you have 3 or 4 copies for when the kids have reports and stuff. I know what I wanted to tell you also. I had to, first time in my life, I had to clean up, I don't know if there's a polite word for this, vomit. A kid had drunk, I don't know how much hot chocolate he drank, but man, I'm telling you.
It all came back.
Too much.
Yeah. So just so you know, I roll up my sleeves when I have yeah, what are you going to do? I think it happens in schools all the time. You guys are probably used to that, right? Yeah. No, I had gloves.
I worked in a bookstore once and I had to clean up much worse than that.
Okay. So I'm
Never get used to it.
No. No. We do it all here. Full service public library.
Whatever became of the film program and the senior center? We discussed
We
it, but
did.
I don't think we ever, did we ever explore it
We
further
did.
than,
We did. It was one of Frank's ideas,
Yeah,
and
right.
it was a good idea. But it turned out, I can remember this far back. It had to do with, I believe it had to do with their end. There was a problem with having library programs in their
building?
space. There was something that they couldn't
Right.
do from the rec person over there wouldn't.
Right.
So
Yeah, okay.
it's
I
a
was just
senior
thinking,
center.
if- right,
That's
the
right.
senior
That's what it
center,
was.
right.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that if the problem is
Well, that would
that's
I think,
because where we are
Right.
coming up and down the stairs.
And that
if
was
it
Frank's
seniors,
idea.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and that's what made me wonder, I knew we had some kind of, I just couldn't remember what it was.
I mean, I guess I could bring it up again at some point and just see if maybe their
Yeah, maybe things have
ideas have
changed.
changed. Who knows? You know, it's been a while since they were asked. Maybe if I approached rather than, you know.
That's right, yeah.
Well, is there any issue with, I don't know if it's licensing or what?
Well, they you know, we do
It's-
purchase licensing for the library. I wonder if they probably have it too, but we have to pick off. I don't know how that works in their roster or whatever, because we have certain things that we can show and certain things we can't show. Depending
Okay.
on what the license has
You
certain
can't just
parameters.
pick a
right.
Blu-ray
I
off
don't
the
think
shelf
so.
or something like that.
I think there's certain, when you sign on to that, there are certain companies that are involved and certain ones that aren't. So I don't know whether they're all a generic license, and if, you know, if we have one and they have one, or if we have one, we can show them off. So I don't know. I'd have to look into that. That's a good question on the licensing thing.
Yeah, like, 'cause I know the Joint Recs stopped showing movies over there.
That's right.
Because they
It was
were
a-
getting cease and desist letters, so.
Really?
Or pay us, yeah.
Okay.
But annually, we through our CLS sign, that's how we're able to show the movies here. We fill out a form.
The showing of movies in the middle school, have you ever gone to one of those events? There's
No.
a Jewish group that has three Saturdays. Last Saturday is, I guess it's the last 2 Saturdays, there's one more coming. I went to the first one. And it's not a bad place to see a film. It had about maybe 100 people.
Is that the theater that the head of I don't remember her name. That day we were asking about bigger spaces, and she said, "Oh, you should use my
Custodial
school."
person, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a bad, it's not perfect, but yeah, they have an overhead.
Okay.
You work off a computer. A DVD you put into a computer, I guess. And there's a projector that shoots on a screen, and the sound system is fantastic.
And outside people are using it.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
kind
outside
of-
groups are using
Hmm.
it. I think you just pay the custodian.
Just like we do with the.
Right.
At CJ Hooker, you talking about?
Yeah.
That's the main auditorium then, yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice.
That was nice.
Concerts there are really good, yeah.
Okay.
Any questions for that we haven't already asked?
On reports like this, I was wondering if they should begin, they're basically their memos,
Mhm.
the to, from, read, and date, because, I mean, you look at this, there's no name on it. You know, who,
Yeah.
this is,
She usually puts it on.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, that's
she was
right.
out.
I
I
think
don't
that's
know.
just
Yeah.
because of.
I think it also, it's helpful in the beginning, if it's at the beginning and at the
Okay.
end, you find the name somewhere else. Just as a standard format. It's,
Sure.
You know, for these reports. I guess they're to you, basically. 'cause
Right,
you
and I'm
share.
daring in this regard. Look at me, why am I talking so highly about myself? I'll tell you why, because when Pauline was here, she would get those, and she's smart, this is probably something any seasoned director would do. And she would
It's filtered.
filter them into hers, where I just throw them out raw, and then I get blindsided by, Matt did this, and now my numbers are... But anyway, okay, yeah, I'll talk to them about that. It's all in the interest of transparency.
Yeah. And the youth services numbers, the morning sessions have good numbers, and when you get into the afternoon, the numbers drop substantially. I don't know.
I gotta take a look over the year, it probably,
Well, it's also probably children, little children, you take them out in the morning and
Yeah.
do things with them, and by the afternoon you're.
Then a drop-in group, you don't have to sign up for it, right?
right.
Yeah.
I wonder if they should try that use a drop-in technique on the others, because
It
the
seems
drop-in
to-
gets great numbers.
Yeah. I'll have to ask her. There was a question a while back, we've all forgotten, something about why do we do a lottery? That's right. Shouldn't even bring this back. Did I ever answer you that? I talked to Michelle, it turned out there was a good reason why they did lotteries rather than, and it had to do when they used to have like first come, first served sort of thing, they would have havoc. People would be stretched around the block. So after a couple of years of doing it, Kathy instituted the lottery thing because it just cut down on the amounts of fights and stuff that were breaking out, arguments. Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
People get crazy with that stuff.
Something about being first.
Question about the insurance, again. The Friends is covered inherently because they have things on site? I mean,
That's what I'm waiting to find out.
because they're not, like, if they were gonna have something at the senior center, for
Right.
example, they probably wouldn't be covered by us because they're a separate entity. and
That
not part
was
of us.
that was my take on it, and it seemed like it was 50-50 with the directors that answered me. Half of them said, "Oh yes, our agent says they're covered." Now they're different insurance companies, different. I don't know. Are covered under our thing. We only need to, if they're in-house, they're covered under our general umbrella liability. If they're outside, we have to get a special rider for that particular thing. But they are covered by our. They don't have to. Other ones said no. They're a separate entity. They have to get a separate umbrella insurance, what do you want to call it, liability insurance for their own 501c3 status, separate group. They
Right,
can't.
okay.
So I don't know if it varies. I don't know whether it's confusion on the part of the directors, which can happen. Varies by type by the insurance company. I don't know enough about insurance, but I'm hoping that Beverly will. Well, I'll speak to her tomorrow and get because she'll be the last word on it. I'm gonna make sure to get something in writing so that I.
So that was the other question then, because one would be if they're actually separate and aside from us, they'd be responsible for getting insurance at the senior center, for example. But otherwise, we would be able to get an umbrella policy to have them at the senior center.
Right.
If they were under ours.
Right.
If they were covered under ours.
I'll try to get the clarification on that.
Okay.
Because this all came from. Sorry, when we were at Jim's showing over here, and when I was and all of a sudden I went like white like a ghost, and I realized I didn't get a rider for this. And the time before that with the big band, I think, and someone had fallen, and that time I did because with the big band I'm used to getting the coverage for that. That's sort of a library, but this was a totally Friends. And that's when I realized we probably should figure out because I'm looking around for potential problems. Anyway, all right, that's it. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't sleep but 2 hours last night. I don't know.
So you're a little punchy. Well, thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
On unfinished business, we have the strategic plan. Does anyone object to putting that over till January?
We will not.
What?
No.
No, I didn't think so. Okay. I don't know do we have other unfinished business that we need? No? Okay, good. I like that. Okay, new business. The Code of Conduct Policy Amendment. Carol. This is the.
No, that's the other one.
The
I have this
personnel.
one.
Oh, okay, this is, all right. I was confused.
I was hoping to add one thing to our code of conduct at the beginning. At some point, I'd like to redo the whole thing, but for now, I'd like to add this very general rule to the beginning of our code of conduct, which is library visitors will not engage in conduct that disrupts or interferes with the normal operation of the library or disturbs staff and library users. Such conduct includes the use of abusive or threatening language or gestures, creation of unreasonable noise, loud or boisterous behavior or talking. Now, some of that is kind of covered in the rest of this, but I want to have one sort of more abstract thing right at the beginning that you could point to with anything, any behavior that seems to be disruptive. That's what I'm looking for, that you could say, look, this is the policy, this is disruptive. If you ask to leave, if you continue. Because the closest we have in here is do not obtrude or do not obtrude nor interfere with the use of, and people get lawyerly about that, do not obtrude or interfere with the use of the library by all people, including library employees, which really does cover but this library visitors will not engage in conduct that disrupts or interferes with the normal operation.
Yeah.
I think it's important to have that. So all I'm asking is that we add that to the beginning of our rules of conduct. And I didn't bring you one of your cheat sheets, so you have to say.
so I just have
sorry.
to, that's fine. Does anyone have any objections to this? Do you have any?
No, I'll just comment that we all talk in the library. Nobody whispers in this library, so I don't
No.
know.
But
This gives you the leeway to make that judgment and say if somebody is,
you know, if you repeatedly tell someone to keep it down and they don't, now we have the wherewithal to ask them to leave.
it's something that I wouldn't want to have to turn to, but it gives you something to stand on if there's somebody being,
Right, disruptive.
And it does happen where you ask them to quiet down and they say, don't tell me what to do, I'll do whatever, it's like, now you're out of line.
Right.
And there's nothing here that quite captures that, This comes from the black belt librarian who's kind of made his name in being a go-to guy for library security. He says everybody should have this blanket thing in there, that there's not a lot you can argue with. You can always,
Sure.
that's really all it is. It gives you a kind of a little bit of leverage.
Just wondering, I came to this library many years ago, and I was surprised at how people did not whisper, everybody talked out loud.
Yeah.
And I was told that it's so small, whispering doesn't help anyway. So.
But there was a great change in libraries about 25, 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Where they suddenly decided that whispering and doing hush-hush was turning people away from libraries. They tried to make it a little more welcoming.
Well, I mean, we don't have
shushed in a very
room.
long time.
We don't have
You used to get
room.
shushed at the time.
I get shushed.
We're a no
from the
shush
patrons.
library.
Right. We don't shush you here.
We don't have a room that could be a whisper room regardless.
Right, well, there's no real place
There's
you
no
can
place
sit.
to
and-
study.
There's no
Right.
place there's no like stacks you can get out in.
Yeah.
And that's why I was at the Middletown Library this weekend. And I worked to get done, and I was going to come here, and I was like,
No, you'll never get.
and I go to the reading room there,
Mhm.
and I love it. I mean, there was about 12 people in there. You didn't hear anyone breathe.
Wow. Is it separately by, okay, I don't know that library that well.
It's just a
Have you-
really big room, reading room with lots of tables, and
Right.
there was about 12 people
Yeah,
in there,
you
and you
need
don't hear
you need a
anyone.
quiet space in the library. We just don't have the room for it.
New
One
library.
more thing.
The
One
new
more thing.
library.
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
new-
It's
New
on the
library.
list. Should be on the list.
Right,
and
one big quiet room. where you can
Valley
study.
Cottage strikes me as the same very quiet hush hush. Everything is silent in there, even in the bigger rooms, the main rooms.
It's well insulated. You can't hear the traffic.
Yeah.
Have you had a lot of incidences of,
No, it's just.
There's a couple people, that couple bad
Loud
apples.
talkers.
are they hard of hearing? Maybe they have a hearing problem. You never know.
Kind of young
Attitude
for them.
problem.
For that. I mean, when I was in the Reverend Sess, my basic rule was unless it's really obnoxious. If somebody's not complaining to me about them, I mean, I'm looking, not just complaining with their mouth, but with their eyes and with their,
Like
you
waiting
know.
for you to do something.
right. I would basically let things be, but if I see somebody getting, you can tell when someone's getting, and then you'd go over and say, listen, can you,
You have a look too?
me, the library look, shush.
And open the glasses.
Mrs. Haversham.
Glasses.
Don't let Mrs. Haversham come in.
Put your big Jack out. Jack's a pretty good guy. Don't make me call Jack.
I'll show them some of our bills, right?
Okay, so I'll just read this, make a motion, read this, and then we'll all say yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to amend the general library policy rules of conduct to include,
Carol wants to say something.
yes? Okay, you
Okay.
can just
Okay.
copy this.
Mhm.
Library visitors will not engage in conduct that disrupts or interferes with the normal operation of the library or disturbs staff or library users. Such conduct includes A, the use of abusive or threatening language or gestures, B, creation of unreasonable noise, C, loud or boisterous behavior or talking. May I have a motion to accept this amendment to the code of conduct?
Well, they can talk, they just can't.
No, loud, boisterous
loud.
behavior or
Loud.
talking, it
You see
says.
that,
Okay.
so.
I'll make a motion.
Thank
I'll
you, second.
Second that.
All in favor of accepting this amendment, amending the code of conduct?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And no, and Ryan's not here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Now, we're going to change the personnel policy. Did everyone get this or just me? Did everybody get it?
We all have it.
There's also-
Okay. All right. Yes, the staff currently gets 13 paid holidays, and the full-time employees currently get 4 personal days. What we are changing that to is we are no longer going to pay them to take their birthday off, and the full-time employees will now get 2 personal days per year. This isn't actually going to save us a penny, but what it is going to do is add 39 days of productivity to our roster for the year, because there are 13 full-time employees that this will affect. So, the part-time employees get paid leave time equal to a quarter of their weekly total. It's now going to be an eighth, and that begins January 1st. Have I forgotten anything? Okay.
Didn't we do all this before?
We talked about
a
it.
long
This
time
is the
ago.
official change. We talked about it, and this is what we worked out, because we were trying to weed it down to 10 days, but it just isn't gonna work because of the days we're open and the way it has to, it was just, this is what we came up with. So what we
So
will get.
what did we revise on April 2nd of 2012?
I have no idea.
Do you,
It was
No,
a
no.
different portion of the
Right.
Of the
thing,
whole
and had to
thing.
do with comp time.
Right,
and how
right.
persons would receive
was
only
April.
7 hours for a holiday,
And they had 30 days
even
to
if they
use
were,
it.
Yeah.
had been previously scheduled on Mondays to work 8 hours, they would only, the
Right.
maximum would be
Okay.
7.
That was
Because
because
that
I thought we
paragraph
also
at the
included
bottom.
that the birthday. I thought we
I
had
think
the
so,
auto.
that's
No,
why we
we
brought it up and
discussed
talked
it.
about it.
We discussed it then, but we changed this time clock manager paragraph. That's what we changed in April,
Yes,
right?
yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So now we're changing the highlighted portions that you have in front of you. Okay. Does everyone get a chance to look it over and do you all understand what we're doing? It's exciting, I know.
Is there any confusion about the day, some of these days sometimes fall on a Sunday, then the observance, the national observance is Monday or something?
Yeah, it's already worked out in the way our bookkeeping and scheduling is done already. Full-time employees will work the 5 days anyway, and it's just,
Okay, so
yeah,
they're
it's already
All right.
factored in. So if the library's closed, the library's closed, but if it's open, then it's, whether it's your day off already or not, and
Mhm.
it's one of those things.
So how does the part-time employees,
It changes
Bigger.
from 1/4 to an eighth.
yeah, but if the employee works 16 hours in a week,
It's an average, right?
Right.
You take the average of their
In
week.
January, if a part-time employee, it's sat down and discussed with them that they're expected to work, say, for example, 20 hours per week. That's their normal schedule.
okay,
And so they would receive 1/8 of that, of those hours as personal hours.
okay, to be used sometime in the year.
Right.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And they can use that personal time at some point in the
Yes,
year.
it's recommended
Right.
that they use a portion of it in the first 6 months and the other half in the second 6 months of the calendar year. Sometimes things happen that make that a little bit different, but that's the recommended.
And it
Yeah.
And
expires
it
at
does
the
not
end of-
receive, it does not carry over to the next year. Use it or
You
lose
use
it.
it or lose it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Just for my own thing, the employee's library will be closed on 9 of these holidays, but remain open on, why is birthdays twice on here? I guess that's what I'm just wondering.
The first list is the list of the actual holidays.
Mm-hmm,
And
paid
of
holidays,
which
okay.
we're closed, but we're not closed on all of them. The next list is the ones that the library remains open. It ends up that they become floating, what people commonly call floating holidays. Then people can choose to work, for example, on Martin Luther King Day, and then take that holiday at a different point. It's worked out into comp hours, if they choose to.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a question.
Yes.
I'm just curious. How does, okay, for the part-time, how does that work? When do they keep getting, you know, if they work, I don't know, 20 hours and they get, what is that, an eighth of that? They'd get
They get 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours when?
Whenever they need it, they put in for it and they take 2.5 hours, or they'll take 2.5 hours out of one day off, or they come in late 2.5 hours or something like that, correct? Or
It's
they'll,
put into a bank of hours that they
Right.
can then draw upon. They may choose to use
so like
1
leave
hour
early one day, or
as personal time to go to the dentist or something, or
Right.
and they'll continue, they'll get paid
Or
for
they
that.
may take the
They'll
whole
go to
time.
dentist instead, you know?
So, but how it accumulates over,
No, it doesn't accumulate. At the beginning of the year, they get 2.5 hours, and they have a year to use it. Instead of
so
a
that's
personal
all
day.
they get?
They're part-timers.
They just get 2.5 hours?
Right.
Okay.
Full-timers get 2 days.
Got it.
Part-timers get 1/8 of whatever their weekly schedule is.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not an accumulating thing. Any other questions? Does everybody understand the changes we're making? Okay, may I have a motion to make those changes as outlined? Bernie. And second? Jim? All in favor? Okay. All right. It's such a lively group tonight. And nobody against it, so thank you very much. All right. The proposed budget amendments, thank you so much for waiting on this.
Oh, no problem.
Actually, that's
My
going to slide
pleasure.
down into executive session because those changes are all having to do with personnel at this point.
Oh.
After some conversation with Carol that straightened me out on a couple.
Stale
Okay.
longer.
Well, the retirement money, we have to discuss that, don't we? We had to move money for that,
Did we?
didn't we?
Is that too late?
Is that what you meant
I don't think so.
The retirement
We had to move money to cover the retirement.
for next year or for? The bill came in over this year,
Yeah, we did all-
right? Matt and I didn't look into that yet, though.
Okay. So we do have to change that for next year, though. The proposed amount of money that they said we were going to have to pay for the retirement account, they lowballed it by almost $10,000. So we got banked. And so we're gonna have to rework that amount on the budget for next year. Because we can't trust the amount they're telling us it's going to be. Because it was almost $10,000, right? It's
Right, like nine and change.
7 or something like that. And even that was a significant amount over the year before, so no idea what we're in for next year.
So we're expecting it to be over 66?
It was 75 this time, and so they're projecting what for next year, 78? So I don't believe that, since
Using
they told
their
us 66 and it was 75.
Mhm.
Based on that, it could be 85 next year, who knows?
It
So I
was the
don't know.
first time their preliminary invoice was
Was that
off.
off?
Every other time it'd been right on. This is the first time it came in more than what they
All right,
originally said.
so we're gonna do that in executive
Yes.
session then, okay. All right, well then, that's everything.
I do have one question about, in terms of new business, and just briefly, because we can talk about it later with you, but I was looking at when you sit down on the computers upstairs, there's like let's say 3-page, maybe 6 pages of like things you would want to read instead of just clicking OK, I understand, let me use the computer. And I wonder if we could just look at working at that in some future time to maybe pick up some bullet points that'll appear on the very first computer screen and say, if you want details to each of these things,
Yeah, we
read
can do
further
that.
down.
Yeah, that's the
Sure.
full policy that's on there.
Right,
We didn't
right.
monkey with it, we just put it up
But
as
just for the sake
reading.
of-
But yeah, sure.
Making it
just-
very clear for some people when they're sitting down that,
That the landing page have bullet points and that they can agree to it right then and there, and then scroll through if they want or not.
right.
Yeah, because I don't want to change anything unless you guys see, anything that we're going to manipulate for online versus unless it's authorized by you guys. So if you want to do that, take a look with David and
Yeah,
then bring it back and make sure everyone's happy with it.
yeah, I'll look through it and work with and see.
All right.
what
Thank
sounds
you.
good. All right.
I had a question.
Yes.
Did we do our final vote on the budget?
No.
No.
That is next time?
Yes. And next time is the final vote on the budget.
Okay.
And that's we approve it, what we're gonna put out to the voters next
Right.
meeting. Yeah.
Now,
Total.
you talked about a possible capital budget for, like, painting the building, things like that. Are we going to be able to get that in time to have that?
Have a separate vote? you said?
We talked about, rather than go over the 2%, have a separate vote on painting the structure.
Like the school does with the school
Yeah,
buses.
the school does, yes.
Well, certainly we can, it's legal. I think I'm not sure how it would work in terms of the mechanics of it. Do you think that there may be some cutoff before we could, it probably just has to be,
It probably just has to be
Presented.
the same amount of public notification as the regular vote, wouldn't it?
Oh, I'm just thinking that, I don't know, that's why I thought last month we were gonna
I'll check
explore
into
that
it.
and try to come up with a number that makes sense,
Yes.
that we can take to the public.
In addition to the budget,
Yeah.
just to
Yes.
have
A
a
separate,
capital,
yeah, a capital
capital
We're
improvement
asking for
project.
Right.
whatever it is.
Well, then
Like the way the school board
$15,000
asks for the
to
budget and then
paint
also
the
asks for
building.
money for buses.
That we
The
don't
same
wanna-
sort of, right.
So there's two questions, so then there's how you go, the mechanics of it, when it needs to be presented, which is probably the same time.
I would
but
think
we'll
it's the
check.
same.
But how much?
Right,
That's what
Right.
right. Do we have to go in with bids, that, that have been previously requested, and, or do we go in with a ballpark figure and then just make, do what we can do with that amount? I assume that if we can do the latter, so by the time to get this all together, if we've got to get bids, we can never get it together in time.
Can there be a separate vote on something? I wonder if there can be a,
Well, yeah, but you should have to go through that expense.
Yeah, that's another expense,
Much better
right.
to have it.
It's too much, right.
That's the whole thing
Have
that
a
we need
separate
to.
vote?
Yeah, a
Yes.
separate
we'd
vote
have
would
to
be
get
too
a
much.
day,
It'd be separate, yeah, it would be too much money,
Yeah.
and too
Yeah,
much,
okay.
right, wouldn't be worth it.
Do all of these funds need to be kept under would need to be kept under the 2%?
No.
No, a capital
That's
fund is a separate
separate.
issue.
Okay.
It's our budget that has to be capped at 2%. If we have a capital project that's gonna cost us $50,000, then we would put it up at a $50,000 and explain what it was. And can we have $50,000 to do this?
but you know what I'll do? I'll find out this week and I'll email you guys by
Okay.
midweek in case you need to get together again just to.
Okay.
Right, thank you,
All right.
before Christmas.
Okay.
And to reflect also that we took money out of the adults
Yes, so we fixed
and
that.
then put it into children's.
Put the money back into, what we ended up having to do is, well, Jack, correct me if I'm wrong.
Juvenile and teen, we put it back, the 3,000, one was 2,000, one was 1. And we moved it out of the adult back into there. But the adult is still going up though, it's still going from 31 to 35.
To 35, and
It's
then
just
we
not
took
38.
3,000.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, that's what we talked
Right.
about last time.
Yep, so they're not going down, right?
Okay, any other questions? Okay, privilege of the floor. Alright. Okay, I need a motion to go into executive session. Thank you very much, Jack.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
And second,
I'll say.
Dabby Nancy, thank you very much. And I'm sorry, it's 8:31 PM. Close enough. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We're all half asleep, it's hilarious. Okay, 8:31, we're going into the executive session. Good night, David.